All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to welcome Anton Gilmore to SA Boxing Talk again. Anton, how are you doing?
Hey, well yourself, Hayden. Thanks for coming out.
100%. You got some cool fights coming up, back in boxing again, obviously training a couple of guys, getting the energy back in the system. How are you feeling coming into 2025?
Good. It started off a little bit quiet and then things just happened. So, first of all, I started training myself just to get my health back and things like that. Not that I was unhealthy, but I just want to feel solid again. I'm 54 now. So anyway, I've got this kid at my gym, Gilly Dickinson, and he was saying to me on the Friday, Ants, I wish we could get that chance again that we had last year against Sean Alberts. And it manifested itself, and the next day Jeff Ellis phoned and said, hey, do you want that fight? So that fight's coming up on the 2nd of March. That was the start of the year. Then we got a phone call for Yaffa to fight out of the blue from AB Zamnisi. So that was another one. Then Seth van Asvechen, he also started getting going, and he was a pro with me last year. He stepped out of a fight, now he stepped back in, and he's fighting Gary van Staden towards the end of March on Peter Smith's tournament. So we got that. Then I've got this kid at my gym. His name's Ethan, and he's just phenomenal. He's fighting in the novice heavyweight trials next month. He goes to the Johannesburg champs to go all the way to the SAs. By the end of July, I reckon we got an SA champion. I don't reckon, I know. He's just phenomenal, and he's 18 turning 19, and so from an amateur perspective, if you turn 19 in the year that you're fighting champs, you automatically go to the elites. So he doesn't have a choice, he's got to fight the elites, so which is the 19 plus crowd. So anyway, I'm not scared. He's been beating up all my pros, heavyweights, you name it. He's really good, and so he's had 5 amateur fights, 5 wins, knockouts left, right and centre. And then I've got Success Ngobeni, who's turning pro on Saturday at the pro sparring, so I'm looking forward to that. And he's just phenomenal. He's a small little guy, but he just gives you 100%. A lot's happening at the gym. We've got our Fight with Inside kids training there. It's just busy again, You started off with a little bit of a slow pace, and it's full tilt.
I mean, you obviously got an exciting amateur program that you've always had. You've always maintained that you've had a filter program to produce your pros. Are you? And you mentioned to me off camera just a little bit earlier that you used to have 14 pros in your stable. It used to be a really big sort of system that you're running. Are you looking to get back to that again, or not really? What's the thoughts?
So like if you look at Nick Durant, he had 48 pros at any one time in his gym. I had 16 in my gym at one stage, and that meant I had to put on my own tournaments on a regular basis to get them activity, because you can speak to matchmakers and things like that, but there aren't enough tournaments. So I was forced to do like 6 pro tournaments a year type of thing, and it was costly and it was energy sapping because I was training 16 guys and then putting on tournaments, selling tickets, and I've always done most of the things myself, so it became tiring. So I don't want to get into that type of thing, where I'm running myself ragged to get my guys fights. I'm going to have I really just want to have about 5 pros that I work on, that are consistent, that are applied, and I can just focus on their abilities and make them as hot as possible instead of training the masses. And then from my project perspective, Fight with Insight, I've been hands-on with that all the time, and it's time for me to give the reins to the other kids like Yaffa and whatever that take over the autism class and the amateur training, things like that. And I just step in from a managerial perspective and just say, hone this and hone that and fix this, and then we can get going. So I want to step back into a managerial perspective from the amateur grounds. From the pros, I'll just work on my 6 pros that I got, or look, I'm at 4 at the moment, so I've got space for 2 more if anybody's looking for a real good guy. Anyway, so that's what I want to do. And then we've got about 70 or 80 active amateurs at this club. It's the biggest club in South Africa. There aren't enough tournaments. If I take 15 guys to a tournament, I only get 4 or 5 fights. An amateur needs 6 fights a year to say that he's going places. So we got a meeting on Friday. We got to discuss how we're going to look after all these kids that we got. So we're probably going to have 4 or 5 tournaments a year, I'm hoping, where we put on 30 or 40 fights each time, and it's a whole day, but we can get our guys all the experience that they require. So it's a big thing. So there's a lot going on. I'm busy as anything again. My ex-wife, Debbie, of recent times, she was trying to pull me away from all of that because I was just so busy. I was running the feeding scheme, amateurs up and down to Hillbrow twice a day, things like that. And I was burning myself out. And I was just trying to keep myself going any way I could. And I learned a lot from what she was trying to teach me. So I only give my energy to people that deserve it, you know what I'm saying?
I think you're the right person to ask about this. You've been an advocate for South boxing for a very long time. Besides the project that you're running and what you're doing, there seems to be a lot of decline outside of that. And, I remember when I first stepped into the industry, I used to frequent South boxing more than any other region in Johannesburg. Now, it's more the east and the north that we will be frequenting. Why do you think that is?
So, yeah, you know what? Let's just look at it quickly. We had Manny Fernandes. He's migrated to Edenvale because he's looking after Brian's gym and they're there. Nothing wrong with that, but that club has now since dissipated. Then you had Boyson's and the thing with Nicky and all of that has happened. So we've lost a feeding system there with the amateurs, good amateurs going to pros, things like that. So who is left in the South? It's myself, really, and Boxing 5, and I don't know how many guys, or Raiz. I don't know of any others. So we are in a bit of a doldrum, and I wouldn't say we're done or anything like that because things always bounce back. I've been in this a long time. You go through ebbs and flows of life. But currently, yeah, we're active in the South, and here's another guy. He's Lyle from South Hills Boxing. He also has a similar project to us. He looks after the kids. There's a lot of drugs in South Hills and whatever. And he's a godly man. He's a pastor, I believe. And he's looking after the kids as we do. So him and I relate to each other a lot. And we speak about how we're going to go forward and get more tournaments happening. So he'll be one of the guys that are pulling into this 4 tournaments per year type of thing. But back to your question. The pro side in the South is dead.
I think a lot of people would be annoyed if I didn't ask this question about what we discussed last time on our interview and the tournaments that didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
In your assessment, can you just give a remark on what happened there?
I'm glad you brought this up because I haven't had a chance to actually say what happened. So I worked for this guy for 6 months, Trevor Bester from BGTN, and he wanted something. So myself and Debbie, we set up, over 2 months, we set up a nationwide rollout of this. So February and March, we were ready to roll for the April thing, and he said, I don't have the money. But he had said he had the money before. Anyway, so that got put on ice, and then he phoned me in August last year, and he said, hey, I've got the money, come back, let's get this going. So myself, ABs, and everybody got going. I found the 12 promoters around the country, actually 11. The 12th event was going to be splendid. It was going to cost a couple million to put it on. It would have elevated all 13 ambassadors of boxing South Africa, and it was just going to be something over the top, and we had done well. I got Lee Dyer to get his pro license. I was looking at Shana and quite a few people. Matthew was on board from Cape Town. And then he just failed to come up with the money, and he said he had these contacts in Saudi Arabia. Apparently he never even knew anybody there. So it was quite a sad thing. And I had done 6 months of work on this, like on a daily, consistent basis, set it up. And I feel bad because Abies had put his heart into it. Tanyani was going to do the first event. We had the press conference, but it's funny, this guy always stepped out of being the front man. Like, remember when you came to his place, he put some other juggernaut in there that was going to talk about how it's all going to work. But yeah, he was just, so there's a court case going on, and I suppose I shouldn't say too much about that because it's still going on. But that was a very sad thing. It stole my energy because I had poured a lot into it. And then, funny enough, Clinton Van der Berg from Mnet said, Ants, it's a great idea. Don't give up on the idea. But I did have to put it away for a while, heal myself. And also Colin Nathan and quite a few other guys said, Ants, don't forget about this because it's a great idea. So I'm going to pick up again. I've got some ideas. I've got some avenues. I've got some phone numbers. And I promise it's actually refined itself. It's going to be better than it was originally. So anyway, that's all I got to say. But I'm sorry about that, guys, to the whole of the boxing world. It was a bad thing. It wasn't my doing. I was polished as anything. But you just meet some con men out there, you know what I'm saying?
I remember doing that that interview with you, and the excitement's in your eyes. Obviously, it's your very own project that you're producing, and you mentioned that it could come back in the future. We'll obviously catch up when that does occur. But 2025, just judging it on now, are you excited for your current projects in terms of the 3 fights that you have coming up and your amateur prospects?
So the Debbie thing, how she taught me how to choose what is going to work for you, because everybody wants a piece of Anton every day. You must know I get about 60 SMSs a day from 60 different people. Okay, so I'm managing a lot, and I've actually just had to put some barriers up, and I can do a lot this year, and I can go full steam into it and make everything happen. But I'm gonna space it out. I first want to get Ethan up to the SA champs by July. I want to look after the few pros that I got, 5 or 6 guys. I want to get them some fights, and then later on in the year, and I'm making an announcement now. The November Southern Giant is going to be called the Southern Giant Legends, and we're going to make something phenomenal happen there. So I'm starting to work on it now. We're in February. By the time November happens, I'll have something special, and it might be the launch of the Eliminate or something like that. But I've decided, like last night, I'm lying on the couch. I need something to keep me going. So the Southern Giant this year will be my big thing, but I'm going to build these pros and amateurs. So when that happens, I've got something to show.
I've got to ask you as well, because you haven't been a stranger to getting in the ring yourself over the years post-career. Is that in the sights for you, or have you retired from your retirements?
Oh, you know what? I was told, you're getting old now, you should retire. But I see these guys down in the Cape and 59, I forget his name at the moment. And I love fighting, and I've been training twice a day, funny enough. I've been training with Gilly, who's fighting on the 2nd of March. And I've been training twice a day. I feel good. I'm in good shape and whatever. I'll see. You know what I'm saying? Johnny Kuhn's got his tournament coming up now on the 12th of April, and he's got some classics and whatever.
He's training with you for this
yeah,
one as well.
Yeah,
so do you think he turns the tide and gets his belt back?
So, Greg's Leviathan, he's just, he's special. And so he'll only beat him if he follows a certain fight path and a pattern and a strategy. So we're working on that, and if Johnny can do that, then he can. Johnny's already in weight. He's actually 3 kilos underweight, sadly, We're fighting a guy that comes from 82 to 75. It's going to be a tough one, but, I like with Jonas, he's up against the undefeated and whatever. Just bring these. It's always good to go in as the underdog, because you've got no pressure. Just do what you do, you know what I'm saying? So that's it, yeah. We'll see what Johnny does.
Awesome. I think you've caused many upsets of your career as well.
Yeah. It's my favorite upset is Mike McQuena against Lusando Comunisi. They didn't expect that. We were the underdogs in that fight, and that 5th round knockout was just phenomenal. And it was something we worked on in the gym. It was a hook, jab, cross. And it just, he sent it down the slot. Man, it was good. It was one of my favorite memories.
Sure. Well, Ant, so thank you very much for catching up with us today. Anything you want to leave with the boxing community?
Nah, I think I've said it all. I just enjoy boxing, and it's nice to be back and the gym's flowing again. I love Jonas, and it's good to have him back in the gym and in my camp. And I'm happy with the progress that the gym's doing and whatever. We've got special things happening there. And the Fight with the Inside package that exists here in Hillbrow, we've got conferences, we've got a feeding scheme, we've got coaches that teach the food and things like that. We got there's so much happening here, but I want to replicate and become the first pilot replica of this at Southern Suburbs, So a lot of my attention will be going to that. I want to actually make an engineering room so I can teach the kids how to get an artisan trade and things like that, so that they can get employment. That's my big thing about, you can be a fighter, but what's your second line of income? And if you break a hand, you go to that. If you get fired, you come to boxing. So it's a dual income stream that is needed for happy, peaceful kids and fighters. So that's where I'm going.